My name's Zinnia, and I'm 13 years old. I think. Honestly, I'm not too sure because I can't remember anything before being shunted here. It's all poof, gone, nothing. That's okay though, because I was super lucky when I first got here that an amazing lady named Helena found me. Turns out she runs the orphanage in this area, and she's always on the lookout for lost kids like me. She said the world could be scary for someone new, and so she showed me around this place called the Gutter. It's not the nicest of places, and some people might look down on us because we ain't no high society, but here we've got a community that look out for each other, and I would take that over fancy items any day. Plus, just because I'm from the Gutter don't mean I can't visit other places. In fact, Helena took the whole orphanage on an outing to this huge event called the Heroes Festival, where we could check out all the cool tech and magic stuff people been working on. I was pumped because this was the first time in a while I was going to have some fun without having to look after the younger kids. That was until I noticed the new kid, Osric, sneaking off. I followed after him and found him behind a restaurant with his legs and tail peeking out of a dumpster just as he was digging for God knows what. Poor kid was probably just used to scrounging for food that he didn't realize he wouldn't need to do that anymore. I pulled him out of the dumpster by his collar and held his hand so he wouldn't go running off again. The buddy system exists for a reason, you know. On our way over to Hamsel's bookshop, we ran into these two other kids our age, but boy did they look and act very different than Osric and I. Not in a bad way, just different. They were both super cool though. Arisan, he could do all sorts of magic. It was wild. Like he was able to repair the hole at the bottom of my dress. And Nubia, she was stunning and super kind too. She always said the nicest things to everyone and was a super loving sister. We ended up spending the whole day together and having a blast. I honestly had so much fun with them that I made them promise me that we would meet up in front of the bookshop at the Heroes Festival in 5 years. I finally found people of my own to call my friends.
Greetings, I'm Osric. I was shunted here not long ago, and it has not been an easy time until recently. I've dealt with my fair share of gutter rats and had to live by stealing from others, but I'll do what I can to get by and figure out a way to get back to my grandparents. Luckily, the past couple of weeks have been better. I was rescued, I suppose is the best way to put it, by a sunny girl named Zinnia. I think if I had met Zinnia in my old home, I would have ignored her completely, but strangely enough, now that I'm here, I appreciate the kindness and care she shows. I've been living in an orphanage lately, in a section of the city Zinnia calls the Gutter. This place doesn't bother me as much as it probably should. At least there are always new things to see. It's not all perfect, and some of the other kids don't like me. There's one kid, a bigger boy, who tried to take my apple away. I was just going to give it to him, but Miss Alina stopped him before he could eat it. I got him back, though. I went looking for the stinkiest, most rotted fish I could find behind a restaurant and stuck it in his bag. With how he smells regularly, it might be a few days before he figures it out. Otherwise, though, the orphanage is pretty welcoming. Miss Alina tries to keep us entertained as best she can, although I do wish we could get more books. Luckily, we went on an outing recently, and I was able to meet a young man who helps run a bookstore in a more affluent area of the city. He's nice enough, if a little awkward, but my friends and I helped him out, so I'm hoping he lets me in to read every once in a while. Speaking of friends, I met two more while I was out traveling with Zinnia and the rest of the orphanage. We met Nubia and Arisan while we were traveling through the city. They both dressed so interestingly and different from what I've seen before. Plus, Arisan said he liked my horns. Most people don't like my horns. Nubia got us a bunch of free things too, which was really nice, but I think what I liked most about both of them was that they didn't think I was weird for how I talked. Our day ended at a get-together where Zinnia and I sat together, and we even got to sit with our new friends when they showed up a few minutes later. I'm not sure what happened then, but we couldn't move and these people came out of nowhere. A lot happened and some people died. I don't remember everything, or at least I'm trying not to remember parts, but my friends and I made it out safely, and I met a man named Mr. Kinsley who had become a mentor to me when he saved me from being trapped.
Hello everyone, I am Nubia Elbadjo of the Temple of Anubis. I'm in training to become a druid and temple worker alongside my family as we have been for hundreds of years. I have my parents and an older brother and sister. My sister Isis is extra special though, because she's going to become the next high priestess. Well, okay, one day we were invited to go to a festival in another country, but we also had to have bodyguards. But it was okay because I had the pleasure of hanging out with Arasan. He's around my age, and he's cool. He's a little shy, but I like him. Anyways, he came with me to wander around the festival grounds. We ran into 2 other kids around our age, Zinnia, who was a social butterfly and looked like a pretty pink flower, and Osric, who was scrappy but proved really resourceful and cunning. We found some old gentleman's missing cat that was actually a statue. Magic is weird. But we got rewarded. Arasan got to pull a card from this deck, and then he gave it to me since his family told him he couldn't hold on to stuff, but I'm going to keep it safe for him. Everything was really fun, and I was about to give my sister a caramel apple that she had wanted, but there was an explosion. I'm not really sure what happened exactly, but I didn't get to see what happened to Zinnia and Osric after that. Arasan and I were taken away and eventually separated. Isis and I were kept guarded and followed around for years afterwards. We weren't really allowed to go anywhere after that.
Hey, my name's Arasan. I grew up in a family that was pretty big. Some pretty strict rules growing up as well. The only time I really got a chance to kind of grow up, like most kids do, was when I got to hang with my grandpa. And usually that was because he brought me to church with him. We'd go to the Temple of Anubis, and there I met Nubia and a bunch of other kids, and I didn't get a chance to hang out with them a lot, but when I did, it was nice to be able to have something different. Well, anyways, a big opportunity came up, and my grandpa asked me to help him out on a job where I got to make sure that Nubia would be safe while we went to a festival. It was crazy. There was so much life there, so much more than I'm used to. And so many people. I met Zinnia and Osric there as well, and we had an adventure that really just was something special for me. And even though I couldn't bring anything back from it, because that's how my family is, I was able to have memories that I wouldn't have otherwise. I'm so grateful for it. And even though the place ended in tragedy, those good memories still hold.
And it was there on the precipice of the Heroes Festival that the announcement was made that these portals that had been used to connect the 3 major cities for travel and magical progression, it was rumored to now have a breakthrough, that for the first time a rare new crystal was found that could use this technology to potentially contact their home planes for the first time in ages. As the words of these portals began to light up and a portal began to open, that's when everything changed. 8 figures appeared, jester-like, with emotional masks of different emotions and variances. Their outfits muted with blacks and whites. And just like that, the arbiter of Major Arcana and the leader of the Tropica were slain. In that moment, each jester had a orb in their hand that expounded with an orb of energy that seemed to freeze everyone in place from reacting. Luckily, though, it did seem as one champion was able to stop the one jester in front of her from killing the Anubian arbiter, the other time stop orbs went into effect and froze everybody else. The first one stepping forward, the leader, or so it seemed, with a booming voice began to announce to all of those in Major Arcana that were listening. "Listen closely, you enlightened souls of Arcana Majora, for I am the harbinger of truth in this realm of deception and illusion. We are not mere inhabitants of this city. We are the forsaken, the outcast, the damned. Cast down from the heavens by the wrath of the divine, we are the living embodiment of their ire. For too long have we suffered in silence, witnessing as the people of this city blindly worship false idols and raise monuments to their own arrogance. Just behind you, the towering symbol of hubris and folly stands as a testament to their defiance against the natural order. But mark my words, it shall crumble like dust beneath the weight of divine retribution. Do you not see, my fellow exiles? This city is our hell, our purgatory, our eternal prison. And yet, embracing our fate, we cower in fear, bowing to those who had claimed to govern us. But I say no more. It is time to rise up against our oppressors, to seize control of our own destiny. The fiends that now walk among us are but the heralds of our vengeance, the instruments of our divine wrath. They shall tear down the false idols and scatter the ashes of our enemies to the winds. And in their wake, we shall build a new order, one founded not on lies and deceit, but on strength and power. So let the people of Major Arcana stand tall, for we are the protectors of this city, the guardians of its destiny. Only those who had governed with tyranny and oppression should tremble in fear. For we watch from the shadows, ready to keep our people safe when they lay their heads to rest at night. For we are not monsters. My friends, we are saviors, liberators, heroes of a new age. And together, we shall reclaim what is rightfully ours. And with that, as they dropped their orbs and disappeared in a pop of shadow, explosions rang out, tearing the town square asunder with fire and smoke. Luckily, most people were able to survive and get free, but it was confusion and chaos as there were some closest to the platform that were killed instantly. The portals that once allowed travel between the three cities safely left asunder and destroyed. 15 years have passed, and the scar of that day has remained on everyone's mind. Travel between the cities has become risky and scarce. The merchants that once prospered are now having to turn to piracy, risking each trip to fiends and bandits. Adventurers that used to go out just for the glory, or for cartographers who would map the world, now stayed at home as celebrities fighting against fiends, or would risk going out just as guides, as the terrain would change at every single time. It's a dangerous world now, and those that witnessed that day were forever changed.
I spent the entire day waiting on the bench outside Hamsel's bookshop, but no one came. It'd been ages since I'd seen Osric, and I couldn't wait to catch up with Nubia and Arisan. I hoped they were okay after what happened at the end of the Heroes Festival. As I waited, the dark clouds rolled in and rain began to fall. Each passing hour felt heavier with disappointment. 1 hour, 2 hours, 5 hours. They weren't coming. Silly me to actually follow through with this childish pact. We were kids and a lot had happened since. They all had more important things to do for sure, and I guess I had too much time to spare. Soaked to the bone, I walked back to the orphanage. It was at that moment I decided to throw myself into helping around the place more. Technically I was old enough to leave now, but no one ever adopted me, so the orphanage was my home. I helped Helena wherever I could with repairs, but there's only so much I could do with my skills, so I got a job as an adventurer to help. Perhaps if I could make enough money, we wouldn't struggle to keep the place standing. I took on odd jobs here and there, but I was finally able to get something in Sina Una that seemed super promising. I was excited to go because we had only been when I was a child when Helena took me. She's from there, you know. And so, my greatest adventure lay ahead. With excitement bubbling in my chest, I headed out on my journey, eager to return to the place of Helena's past, and a place that would be a part of my future.
It's been a little bit of time since the outing that seemed to change everything in the city. I haven't given up on my hope that things will change, but I'm also going to try to do my part too. I'm tired of being a burden and have been helping Mr. Kinsley with trying to decipher artifacts that he has found. It all started when I went to see if I could become an adventurer like Zinnia. He had me wait in his office, and while he was finishing up with something else, I picked up a strange object from his desk. I poked and prodded it a few times, and it brought me back to a time when my grandparents would bring back puzzles for me. I felt as though it's wanting me to go further, but I knew I couldn't just break it open. Following a sequence that just seemed to make sense in my head, I twisted, clicked, and pulled until the box came apart as if it had always been that way. Inside was a small egg, and it was at that moment Mr. Kinsley came back into the room. I scrambled and almost dropped it, certain he would be furious at me for breaking this artifact. Instead, he sat down and smiled, saying his best people hadn't been able to figure out that one yet, and asked if I liked solving it. Of course I said yes, and he asked if I would like to help him decipher more artifacts and work for him. He provided me with many new artifacts to discover, and not only that, he provided me with schooling in other areas, namely how to mingle with just about everyone, no matter how high or low their station. He said I took to it surprisingly well, and we had high hopes for my future in the Merchants of Mercy. I'm aware that he is high up in the guild, and I know that some of their activities are less than legal. However, he and most of those he worked with seem to be good people, more concerned with helping others than many I've met in the city. In between consulting with Mr. Kinsley, I've been cooped up at the bookstore with my friend Derry. He is still just as awkward as he was all those years ago, but I found him to be a very good person as well. Sometimes wonder how someone like myself has found so many people to surround myself with, although I haven't seen many of them in years. It has been some time since I last saw Sinia, and even longer since Erasan and Nubia, but I think of them often. It's strange that in such a short time I felt such a connection with them. I do wonder what they are doing sometimes, and I feel like I'm the only one without a purpose. I suppose that's why I focus as much as I have on trying to sort out the secrets of the material crystals. Recently, a promising lead from Mr. Kinsley came in about some new discoveries in Sinauna. Usually I would pass on traveling out to the city, as I'm not very good in a fight, but Mr. Kinsley said it would be good for me to get some experience under my belt, and while I've traveled a little bit with my research, I do agree it would be exciting to travel to a place so very different from what I'm used to. I'm heading over to an airship now, and I admit I'm a little bit excited about what's to come.
For certain reasons, I am now to become High Priestess, and now I need to take my year-long journey to learn about other cultures and countries, and their death rites. I was told to board this ship as it toured around those countries. Mercifully, I was not given an entourage to tail my every move. Time away will help my mindset. Anyways, I'm trying not to attract too much attention as I travel. I wish I could blend in more easily, but alas. My pilgrimage across the country starts here, and it's refreshing to be able to get away from the Anubian coast. It was starting to stifle me.
Well, the world's certainly changed, did it not? I mean, I decided I might as well change with it. My family, they hoped and wanted me to follow down the same path as everybody else in the family. Make sure you do the ritual, make sure you join the guild, make sure you're part of every little aspect that checks every single perfect box. But was I the perfect child? Not in this case, not the way my father would have wanted me to be. Luckily, my grandfather, he found a different path for me. And so, at school, I ended up learning, finding out new things, new flavors of life, new wonderful colors and the beauty that can exist. Such a wonderful thing. Until a letter showed up. Had the guild crest on it. Seemed a little unique and intriguing, and so I followed.